Imagine sitting in the UK Parliament, House of Commons, and you hear the following exchange, and I quote, "You, Mr. Churchill, are drunk," end of quote. And the reply goes, "You, Lady Astor, are ugly, and I shall be sober in the morning." As funny, witty, and outrageous as this might sound, it's an actual exchange on the floor of the House of Commons between the Prime Minister Winston Churchill and Lady Astor. Now, back then, in a country that is so very well known for being extremely proper, a comment like that carried a lot of weight. But as you recall, Mr. Winston Churchill did not deny that he was not drunk. As a matter of fact, he said he was looking to being sober the next day. Now, why do we need to go and talk about his alcoholism? I think we're going to talk about it because there are various views about the fact if he was or he was not an alcoholic. Let's look in his past. He was born in 1874. At the age of 19, he entered the military service. Now, what made him very famous during the wars was not the fact that he was a warrior, but he was an exceptional war correspondent. When he went to the front line for the Boer War, there was a special request that he made for some items to come along with him. And those items were 36 bottles of wine, 18 bottles of scotch, and 6 bottles of brandy. Now, all of this was consumed in a very short period of time. Some people thought of Winston Churchill as being extremely brave, mostly because he had the ability as an aristocrat to remain in the office and not go to the front line. But Winston elected to go to the front line. And the very reason why is explained by one of his friends that clearly says, and I quote, "Hard liquor was not allowed at the HQ. They only served iced tea, a beverage by no means to Winston's taste." Who knows us better than our friends and family? Well, probably our doctor. There is a prescription note that was found from the personal physician of Mr. Winston Churchill that clearly specifies the fact that he is prescribed to drink alcohol or alcoholic spirits with every meal. Not only is it prescribed, but as you can imagine, every prescription has the dosage. Mr. Churchill's dosage was 1/4 of a liter per meal. Now let's think about it for a minute. If you are drinking 1/4 of a liter per meal, that means that you will consume 750 milliliters of alcohol every day. I'll let you think about it for a minute. Now, let's talk about Mr. Churchill's favorite drinks. According to his daughter, one of his favorite morning drinks was what she would call Papa Cocktail. It consisted of having Johnny Walker at the very bottom of the glass with a little bit of water. Winston would sip on it throughout the morning until the noontime. His favorite dinner drink was brandy. As a matter of fact, he was so famous for drinking brandy that when he was invited to the White House for Christmas in 1941 to visit the Roosevelts, Eleanor's sole responsibility was to ensure that the White House stocked up on brandy. But if you asked Mr. Churchill what his favorite drink was, he would have said it is without a doubt champagne. Now, there are some historians that disagree with the fact that Winston Churchill was an alcoholic. As a matter of fact, Professor Warren Kimball describes him as alcohol dependent. He bases his observations on the fact that Winston Churchill did not really exhibit your typical alcoholic behaviors. And he thinks the reason why he was capable of carrying himself like he had was because he would not drink in one setting. He would drink throughout the day on a consistent basis. Thus, he developed an extremely high level of alcohol tolerance. Now, in 1953, Winston Churchill himself admitted that he was drinking a lot and that he needs to go and scale down because it was starting to affect his health. Now, the very interesting thing about it is that if you were to go and look at him, you would never consider him being drunk because he always looked extremely sober. Now, Winston Churchill is one of the brilliant leaders of the 20th century. He was the one that decided to fight the Germans and said so in the very famous speech which ended with the words of, "We shall never surrender." He is regarded by his countrymen as one of the greatest Britain of all times. But let me ask you this. If your loved one was having Johnny Walker with their eggs, then they would drink brandy with their sandwich at lunchtime and finish their dinner with a martini on a daily basis, what would you say? You would be concerned. And you would call it alcoholism. And you would, without a doubt, grab their hand and take them to an AA meeting. Now, Mr. Churchill never attended AA meetings. There might be a reason for that. But when you go and look at all the evidence presented, there is no doubt that Mr. Winston Churchill was, in fact, an alcoholic. Thank you.